G'day fellow YouTubers, and welcome to my first attempt to do a knife review. After watching a lot of knife reviews and this type of thing on YouTube, I finally lashed out and bought myself a video camera and hopefully get a little bit involved. And I thought, where better to start than a knife that I know very well. I've had for a couple of years now. It's my favourite EDC blade. EDC, for those who are a bit new to the knife world, it stands for everyday carry. The knife we're going to look at today, pretty well known knife. I think everyone recognises it. Many of you maybe even have it. It's a Benchmade 527 model. It's known as a Mini Presidio Ultra. It's a mouthful. The particular one we have here is a plain edge. Not a big fan of serrated edge for various reasons, and it's a satin finish. The knife's also available obviously with a partially serrated edge. It's serrated towards the back of the blade, and also a black finish blade. I believe there's also available in the US a black United States shooting team model, which is a very, very nice blue handle coloration on it. Don't know if they're available here in Australia. Probably not. Might be able to get one in though. Nice looking knife. So this is my favourite EDC. A few specs on the knife. It is an axis lock. The axis lock, for those who aren't familiar with it, is something that comes only from Benchmade, and this is the locking mechanism here. How it works is, we'll just close the knife up. As you can see, it works very easily one-handed. Might just zoom out a little bit there, give yourself a bit of room to manoeuvre. Basically, it's got a little spring here, which they call an Omega spring. It forces this section forward, and it locks into this part of the blade here, which I know you can't see very well. Very, very good locking mechanism. It's ambidextrous, because it runs right through the handle, which is great for me. I am a lefty, yes, one of the minority, and unfortunately many knives aren't built for us lefties. This one is. It's ambidextrous as far as the axis lock mechanism is concerned, and also it has the thumb studs on either side of the blade, as you can see there. Deployment, very, very quick. Locks up beautifully. You can hear that nice solid click. This is a very well built, very well engineered knife. It's a quality piece of work. You do pay the money for that with Benchmade, which we'll talk about later, but for me it's worth it. Steel, if you have a look on the blade there, you'll see, if I can get some focus, 440C stainless steel. It's not one of the greatest stainless steels out there in this day and age, I suppose. However, for this purpose, it's very good. You can also see that this particular knife is designed by a gentleman called Mel Pardue. He does quite a few knives for Benchmade. I think he's responsible for most of the Griptilian line, maybe all of it. And on the other side of the blade, if we turn it around, we have, of course, the famous Benchmade butterfly logo. Great knife. Mel Pardue, thank you. Love this thing. Knife, let's talk about the blade. It is a hollow ground blade. The length of the blade is 2.97 inches, or if you live in a country like mine we use metric, that's 74 millimeters. Again, the drop point, basically all that's telling you is that the back of the knife drops down towards the tip of the blade. Obvious for everyone who's into knives, but for someone who's new, that's what a drop point blade is. Hollow ground refers to this area here. We'll just get our pointer out. We might use Spyderco Delica as a pointer today. Basically, if you were to pick up a hollow ground knife and pick it up and run your fingers through here, you would feel that the blade tapers away in a smooth radius kind of a way. The way they manufacture this is they put them on a grinding wheel and they take the material away like that. It's a very, very bad piece of artwork I prepared earlier that shows you a hollow ground. It's a terrible piece of artwork. So if we took a cross section of the knife, if we were to cut this knife straight through here and then look down here, we'd see something along the lines of this. The side of our steel, the curvature here, and then at the end there's actually the ground edge, which is the sharp edge down the bottom there. So that is the area there is what makes it a hollow ground, as opposed to if that area was straight, that would be what we call a sabre grind, but we won't get into that. So that's a hollow ground knife. Some people like them, some don't. I think for EDC they're quite good. They tend to be not as strong perhaps as a sabre grind because there's a thinness of the material towards the edge. However, for EDC use, general purpose, very good, and the advantage is they're easy to sharpen and they take an edge very, very nicely. This particular knife, as I say, is 440C stainless. I found it's easy to sharpen, takes a very, very nice edge, and an edge retention, in my experience, has been very good. With my knives, I use them, but I don't abuse them. So I'm conscious of the fact that it's not designed for going into the wilderness and battening your way for a log. That probably wouldn't do it the world of good, but it's for everyday tasks, and it does those in an outstanding fashion. The handle material here, it's a plastic. Its strict name from the Benchmade website is Normal GTX. Which sounds very, very interesting. Basically it's a form of plastic. It's some sort of high density plastic. The grips themselves are excellent. You can see there, if we get up a little bit closer, nice texturing. It's got a dimple pattern here, and at each end there's a kind of a striped pattern, and that's the same on either side. Works nice. Handle shape is typical Mel Pardue. You can see at the front here, if I get my pointer, that it flares at the top and the bottom. There's no choil on the blade, nor is there any jimping, nor is there any thumb ramp. You don't really need it on this knife, a knife of this size in particular, but as you'll see, you can lock in there very nicely. If you do need to do some detail work with this knife, very easy to bring your thumb up, and then if you have something that you're working on, you can get in there and do that nice detail work. Very, very comfortable handle also, which is a great thing. And weight, we haven't talked about weight. The knife weighs in at 3.1 ounces. For those in the metric system, works out to 88 grams. It's kind of heavy for its size, I dare say. However, there's reasons for that, and we'll talk about those now. It has full stainless steel liners. Any axis lock knife that you buy, by virtue of the fact that it locks on this section right here, they will run these full steel liners, which is what you can see. We'll get up nice and close there. These parts here, they're black, they're a little bit hard to spot on the video, and also it's running a spacer. It's one of the reasons the knife is a little thicker than some others. Just for comparison, we'll pull out a K-bar dozer. We'll talk about this a little bit more, and you'll see there significantly thinner knife. Now this knife is quite comparable in a lot of ways. If we put them down side by side, at first glance you almost think they were twins. Drop point blade, almost the same blade length, hollow ground. The K-bar is a different steel. It's a OS 8 blade, slightly cheaper steel. Again, I've had good experience with OS 8, so I don't have a problem with that. The K-bar is of course also a lock blade design, which you can see there. Much cheaper knife than the Benchmade. I suppose we could talk about that now. The Benchmade I bought a couple of years ago, I think it was about 2009, and I bought it from an online place in Australia. Cost me, I think it was $117, something like that. From the same retailer, this very knife here, $44. Significant saving. You could buy 2 K-bars and have change left over out of the money you'd spend on one of these. However, I don't think that this still represents bad value, but I'll come back to that point. The deployment, as I was saying there before, very, very smooth. All Axis knives are renowned for this. You can deploy it normally like that should you wish to, or if you want to get a little bit fancy, press the ladies, press your friends, it flicks out nicely. Locks up very, very tight. This knife, as I say, had a couple of years of use. I can't detect any movement there, either up, down, sideways. Maybe a tad side, just a little bit sideways, but not much. Not enough to concern me. I could probably adjust that out on the pivot. So it is, of course, an adjustable pivot. These knives, should you wish to adjust pivots, pull them apart, whatever they are, held together with Torx screws, so you would need a Torx driver set. I actually picked up a set some years ago from Dick Smith's. Got bits for just about everything. Magnificent. You can pull these apart nicely. So yeah, as I say, very, very fast deployment, and as you'll see, very intuitive to use and very easy, not only to open one-handed, but to close one-handed. The difference with a lock blade, yeah, we can open this one one-handed quite easily, but to close it, not quite as naturally. You kind of have to flick down. Don't worry, it won't cut your finger, the choil's there, and then you manoeuvre it around and do that, as opposed to, as you would have seen there, in and back. Very, very nice to use. Probably why I carry it most of the time. The clip, move on to the clip because I'm conscious I'm running out of time. It's had a little bit of wear and tear, as you can see. It's been carried a lot, this knife. The clip is excellent. It is set up for ambidextrous carry, one of my passions. Yes, all you lefties can carry it. There's some holes just there that you'll see, which is where it came originally fitted. Simply unscrew them, put them on this side. The knife is only configured for tip-up carry. You'll see there are no screws, holes here at the front. So it's a tip-up carry only. By tip-up carry I mean when it sits in your pocket, the tip of the blade rides up. Not a problem with this knife. Sometimes that can be an issue with the blade catching, but you'll see it buries quite deeply there in the handle. And I prefer tip-up, so for me that's not an issue. The weight on the knife, as I say, is a little heavy because of the solid liners. They have, however, milled them out. We'll see if we can have a quick look at that, get some light on the subject. You can see that the stainless steel liners are milled out. So they have tried to reduce some weight there. The weight's not excessive. It's heavy, but you don't really know the knife's there. When it's in your hand, though, it feels nice and solid. It's got a great feel to it. quality of this knife is extremely high, and that is probably the reason for the cost over something like the K-Bar. I love this knife. I would not part with it for any sort of money. In fact, I'm probably going to buy a second one in case I ever have this misfortune to lose this one. It'd break my heart. It'd be nice to have a spare one just laying around somewhere ready to go in the collection. As I say, all Benchmades you will pay a premium price. The Axis lock, for those who've never had the chance to use one, do yourself a favour, get your hands on one, try it out. I'd be surprised if you don't love it. It's my favourite locking knife mechanism. Brilliant thing. Great EDC, as I say. You will pay the money. If you get the chance to get one, go for it. There's not much not to like about this knife. I like the blade shape, I like the hollow grounding, everything about it. Highly recommend this thing if you can get your hands on. It's a 527. Of course, it's similar to the Griptilian line. There are many variations, there are many sizes. Check out the Benchmade website, and I think you'll find something to suit your needs. This has been Aussie Mark with first ever knife review. Hope you enjoyed it. Hope it was actually interesting. Look forward to seeing some comments, and thanks for watching. All the best.